Hey there! I'm glad that you're joining me again today. Otherwise, welcome to Calling the Higher Self. If you're interested in self-empowerment, getting your life together, and stepping into a powerful mindset, this is the podcast for you. Come join the Imaginary Goddess community as we learn how to connect to our higher selves, our inner power, and establish a life of our dreams using spiritual, philosophical, and emotional approaches to our work. Don't be shy. Let's go. Welcome back to us talking about the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. We're on the 3rd agreement called Don't Make Assumptions. And this one pretty much speaks for itself. So there's not that much to cover. But anyway, everybody makes assumptions in an effort to make sense of what is going on around us. Depending on who you ask, they might tell you that assuming is bad because you don't know the extent of the scenario. In my opinion, making assumptions is not bad, but using your assumptions as a final conclusion is bad. For example, if I needed to make an important decision, I wouldn't walk myself straight into the fire by assuming that this is the decision I should make. I would just think it out. But in the end, people are going to believe what they experienced, and you can't control another person's perspective on life. According to this agreement, the problem with assuming is believing that those assumptions are the truth. I think he's right about this because assumptions are what bring forth a new path, either further or closer to the truth. Picture being on a path to the truth, paved with experience that prompt you to make an assumption about what the truth really is. Because in life, you may not always have the full story. For each assumption you make, you turn onto a side path, either leading closer or further from the truth. But when we make assumptions about what others are thinking or doing, it's completely out of our range of control and knowledge. I firmly believe that anything outside of ourselves are not our business to change or control, but to experience. So when you are making assumptions about what someone is actually doing or thinking, you take it personally and also won't have the full story, even if you probe them for questions, because you won't know the full extent of their mind, their feelings, the way they move, because you are not them. So I wonder how many emotional problems and sadness we have created for ourselves solely by assuming. When you are afraid to ask for clarification, you are disempowering yourself. You're giving yourself the short end of the stick, setting yourself up for suffering. And knowledge is power. And when you assume, you create a dream that eventually gets destroyed by the truth. And the truth hurts. We all know that. The book has a great example of what happens when you dream up an assumption. It reads, you are walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy and really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. All right, you can already and ironically assume that the whole scenario would play out if you were the person being smiled at in the example. That person may have just been polite with no emotional strings attached, but we assumed that we already have a relationship with them, stuff like that. But say you want to have a child with your partner, and you assume that you will raise the child the same way. Or as the book exemplifies, you could be getting married and you choose to assume that both of you see marriage in the same light. Or say you always assume that your partner knows what you want or need to feel secure in the relationship. These are dangerous assumptions because they both change the dynamic of the relationship and create emotional baggage. By making assumptions out about relationships and the like is dangerous to me because there's an imbalance between the two or more of you and unintentionally created unstable foundations. Another dangerous assumption is thinking everyone else sees life the way that you do. Everyone has their own beautiful perspective on life, so you can see why this is crazy to assume. No one is truly on the same page. Am I right? In the book, the author explains that this is the biggest assumption that humans make and it's a reason why we are afraid to be ourselves around others. I mean, yeah. He says, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. Beautiful. And that's crazy because that sounds a lot like anxiety. And we've all been there. The nervousness that someone will walk in on us as we enjoy the comfort of our authenticity. Ooh, bitch, not me. You will catch me dancing in the mirrors at Walmart just because I look fabulous, as always. And I'm already a goofy person, so I'm always doing random stuff just because I want to. For those of you that actually know me. But of course, that took some time to get comfortable with, but every day I practice being myself is a good day. So this leads me to the most dangerous assumption of all. Making assumptions about ourselves. Ruiz tells us how this creates a lot of inner conflict because you over or underestimate yourself. This leads you to questioning your power and slowly losing trust in yourself, which is sad because who else are you going to trust more than yourself when you need help the most? Nothing in your life happens without your will to make it happen, guys. So Ruiz also explains that when we under or overestimate ourselves, it's because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself the necessary questions. How do you know if you can make that leap if you're not sure if your leg is broken? Do you get what I'm saying? Quote me on that. He also says that maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Wow. How many of you do that? I know I'm guilty of this from time to time. But wow, I don't know about you guys, but that's when reading it and it just clicked in my head. I was like, oh, just wow. But don't worry, because we all have these habits. Moral of the story is, don't make assumptions or you'll ruin your life. And I'm kidding. Even though changing this habit is easier said than done, it doesn't mean it's not possible. I'm Elizabeth, the imaginary goddess, and please remember that my work don't work if you don't work. Don't forget to screenshot and tag me at the imaginary goddess to let me know that you enjoyed this episode. And stay grounded, babies.